Hey y'all, it's entry number 66 of this off-season series where we discuss a different player's fantasy value each day as a group. We are another day closer to the start of the 2022 NFL season. Each day we'll drop a name, go through some positives and some concerns of their fantasy profile, and then I'll give my personal opinion at the end. Today's discussion will be on Breece Hall, running back, New York Jets. We'll start with the positives with Breece Hall's fantasy profile. Dual threat. Hall has proven himself to be capable both on the ground and through the air, carrying the ball at least 185 times and catching at least 23 passes in each of his 3 college football seasons. His college totals were 718 carries, 19.94 per game, 3,941 rushing yards, 109.47 per game, 50 rushing touchdowns, 1.39 per game, 82 receptions, 2.28 per game, 734 receiving yards, 20.39 per game, and 6 receiving touchdowns, 0.17 per game according to Sports Reference. The next thing I really like about Breece Hall's fantasy profile is that he's a touchdown threat. Breece Hall holds the NCAA record for the most consecutive games with a rushing touchdown, with 24 according to The Athletic. Being a major touchdown threat bodes well for Hall's fantasy potential. The last thing I really like about his profile is that he's got a projected above average offensive line. The New York Jets offensive line ranked 11th at the end of the 2021 season according to Pro Football Focus. They do have some shuffling around and did have an injury in training camp, but they will ultimately have a few of the same starters in 2021. Going into the 2022 season, the Jets' offensive line is projected to be the 13th best in the league according to Pro Football Focus. Having a solid offensive line should help Hall out in year 1. Moving on to some of the concerns with Breece Hall's fantasy profile, the Jets' offense overall. During the 2021 season, the New York Jets ranked 26th in the NFL in yards per game, with 306.4, and 28th in the league in points per game, with 18.2 according to ESPN. While the offense improved on paper this offseason, it's important to remember where they are starting from, and that it's likely that they are in the bottom half of the league as an offense, which would limit the scoring opportunities for Hall. The next concern I have with Breece Hall's fantasy profile is Michael Carter. While Hall is getting a lot of hype, and for good reason, the Jets have another very capable dual threat running back in Michael Carter. In 14 games for the Jets last year, Carter had 147 carries for 639 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns on the ground, as well as 36 receptions on 55 targets for 325 receiving yards through the air. Having a guy like Carter around likely prevents Hall from seeing a massive bell cow workload, like last year's top rookie running back, Najee Harris. The last concern I have with Breece Hall's fantasy profile is pass protection. This one is a pickier concern, but worth mentioning nonetheless. Rookie running backs are generally poor in pass protection initially, and that could limit the amount of time they see on the field out of the gate. Hall is not the best in pass protection right now, and given the investment the team has in 2021 second overall pick Zach Wilson, this could lead to Hall seeing less work than fantasy players would like to see right away. Some additional thoughts on Hall's fantasy profile. According to Pro Football Focus College, in March of 2022, Breece Hall had the most yards after contact with 2,310 and forced missed tackles with 194 since 2019. According to Player Profiler, Breece Hall had 20 career 100 or more rushing yard performances in his 36 college games, or 55.56%. Hall is related to 49ers legend Roger Craig. The New York Jets offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur gave his running back room a below average number of carries on the ground, but an above average number of targets through the air in 2021. Personal opinion. Breece Hall is currently going off the board as RB20, about pick 49 overall on ESPN, and RB22, about pick 45 overall on Yahoo. This seems like approximately the right running back range for him. I have him in the RB17 to RB21 range for this year right now. I don't know if they'll necessarily make Hall a full bell cow this year, since the coaches that offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur has worked under or is generally associated with have utilized a running back by committee approach, and Michael Carter is a pretty capable back himself, one of my favorite number 2 backs in the league. But I do really like his dual threat abilities and see the potential high ceiling for him down the line. The big question for him will be whether or not his ADP climbs over the course of the rest of the offseason, like it generally does for top rookies. But as of right now, I think he's a good value at his current price and a solid draft target in the typical running back dead zone. For each of these entries, we will highlight a charity or organization that the player supports. I couldn't find a charity that Hall supports. It's more difficult for rookies. So here's a link to his teammate, Zach Wilson's My Cause My Cleats in 2021 for the Goryeb Children's Hospital, which provides personalized comprehensive medical care to children and adolescents with cancer and blood disorders. Here's a link to that organization below. And that's it for today's entry. If you enjoyed this entry, be sure to like and subscribe.